prices on the rise as Tropical Storm Gordon gets stronger in the Gulf. 2 oil rigs have already been evacuated, and the storm could turn into the hurricane when it hits land later this week. Well, joining us now is Todd Horwitz, Bubba Trading founder and chief market strategist. Todd, thanks so much for joining us again. We're seeing the reaction of the threat from the storm here in the price of oil. How high do you think we could see the price of oil climb?
Good morning. I don't think it's going any higher than where it is. I mean, it could trade, 50 cents or $1 higher, but I think the longer term move is going to be significantly lower, not just a little bit lower, but I think we're going back into the 50s before the year is over. This whole market has been driven by a lot of fear through the Straits of Hormuz, to the hurricane, to Iran, to Libya, to Venezuela. At the end of the day, this whole thing, that the formation, which is called backwardation, where October oil is the most expensive, tells you that in the future we expect lower prices, and as do I.
Well, Todd, what's the catalyst that'll get us back to the $50? What's going to cause that sell-off?
Well, I think we've got a lot of things going on in the overall economy. I think we're going to see most likely a market correction coming up at some point here. I think that you're going to see that the fear will subside from the markets, and all of the longs that have been trying to push this oil higher will then sell out, and that, of course, will create a much bigger sell-off. And that's typically the way markets end, and that's how I would expect this oil rally to end, the same way all markets end when they get towards the top. You've got too much greed trying to chase it up, and eventually it'll wear itself out and it'll head on its way back down.
Hey, Todd, Mitch Rochelle. So is there a big disconnect between the speculators in oil and the underlying fundamentals? And are you suggesting that at the end of the day, the fundamentals of global supply and demand are going to push it down lower?
Oh, I think we do. Mitch, we have a massive supply, as we know. I mean, in the United States alone, without affecting the environment, we've got over a 200-year supply of oil, and that assumes that we're not going to figure out a better way to produce. So I think that the fundamentals will push it down, but I think what you're seeing now is a lot of the underneath, the stronger commercials are sellers of oil right now, and the buyers are more the retail trade, and retail trade is typically the last of the buyers or the last of the sellers. Here I look at them as the last of the buyers. So I think the fundamentals will play out, and technically we've reached a level that looks like they want to sell as well.
Todd, Rick Newman here. U.S. sanctions on Iran go into effect in November. Are you assuming that Iranian oil stays on the market? And if it does, will the buyers principally be India and China?
I'm assuming that Iran oil may go off the market. I don't think it really matters. I don't think they're a big enough producer. Again, we're a net exporter now at this particular time. So in my eyes, the way that I look at it, we've already accounted for every bad piece of news that would push oil prices higher. In the meantime, gasoline is coming lower. Other things are starting to fall apart. I expect the crude will be the last to fall, but it should fall, and it should fall hard.
All right, Todd Horwitz, thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, well, let's
Thank you.
We appreciate you, Todd.